Hey everyone, today we're attending Global Azure Bootcamp 2024 Toronto edition. Let's go together.
Welcome to the Microsoft Technology Center, where technology dreams come true. How can I assist you today?
So with that, this is our agenda for the day. We're gonna have 3 rooms: NPR A on the left side, NPR B. This is the NPR B multipurpose room, and then on the right side, this is the last room, NPR C.
It's a great company. A little bit about myself. Actually, I'm a DevOps guy, for the guy, because throughout the years I went through a lot of titles and a lot of career points, I guess, let's call milestones. The topic is GitHub and Azure better together.
In this part, Max explains the DevOps lifecycle from planning to deployment, showcasing tools in Azure DevOps and GitHub. Next, we delve into GitHub Codespaces, a transformative new feature of GitHub that could potentially eliminate the need for laptops or dedicated development machines. We explore the functionalities and advantages of Codespaces, discussing how they streamline the development process. Additionally, we cover effective strategies for governing and managing Codespaces through comprehensive policies to ensure optimal use and security. Max discussed DevSecOps with GitHub and Azure, emphasizing early security integration to avoid later costs. He outlined security's role at key development stages: pre-commit, commit CI, deployment CD, and during operation and monitoring. Next, Max shifted focus to GitHub Actions and GitHub Enterprise, discussing how these tools aid in developing secure code. He highlighted the use of GitHub Advanced Security features. During the demo, Max first showcased an advanced security technique, leveraging passwordless service principles. He detailed the security benefits of this approach and provided a step-by-step guide on its implementation to ensure a seamless and secure deployment process. Following this setup, Max edited the HTML file of a website to demonstrate the deployment in action. After modifying the HTML file, he created a pull request PR, which automatically triggered the build and deployment pipeline. This pipeline is responsible for building the Docker image, pushing it to the Azure Container Registry, and then deploying the image to Azure App Service, effectively showcasing the entire process from code change to deployment in a real-world scenario. At the end, Max answered several questions about GitHub Actions, including the differences between Azure DevOps and GitHub Actions, and shared insights on how to convince your company.
A little bit about me, Ricardo Cubo, Principal Consultant. You can reach me on LinkedIn. That's pretty much the only place I post. And yeah, I am from Cartagena, Colombia, if someone is interested on that. Very, very beautiful city to go and visit.
Ricardo's presentation focused on alternatives to Kubernetes in Azure, beginning with an agenda that covered cloud-native narratives, Kubernetes challenges, and other container solutions. He discussed the advantages of cloud-native, emphasizing reduced risks, lower costs, and enhanced security, before introducing the cloud-native trail map to guide adoption strategies. Next, Ricardo addressed common Kubernetes challenges in organizations, particularly focusing on configuration and operations issues that affect deployment efficiency and scalability. Then he made his move.
Well, who has been to this site? So this is a great site, uses a lot of AI to determine whether you need Kubernetes or not. Normally comes up with the same answer.
For now. For now.
For now. I do have to say, I'm not hating on Kubernetes. I think the web will run on Kubernetes. It's just that sometimes your organization, your application are not ready or do not require the power of Kubernetes.
Then, Ricardo reviewed Azure's container solutions, starting with IaaS options like VMs, moving to Azure Kubernetes Service and Azure Red Hat OpenShift, which sit between IaaS and PaaS. He then covered PaaS offerings like Azure Web Apps and finished with serverless options such as Azure Container Apps, Azure Container Instances for running containers. Right after, it was demo time. First part was about Azure App Services. We discussed its benefits, including support for multiple programming languages. Then we explored detailed features such as TELS termination, custom domain, health checks, how auto-scaling and load balancing enhance performance and reliability. Following our discussion on Azure App Services, we demonstrated the process of creating a new app service directly through the Azure portal. After setting up the new app service, we conducted a detailed review of its settings. This included examining the app service plan and its associated hardware configurations, as well as exploring the scale-out options available to manage application demand effectively. Next, Ricardo described Azure Container Instances, emphasizing their quick startup times, hypervisor-level security, and net support. He also noted the availability of persistent storage and the functionality of container groups, which allow multiple containers to be managed and deployed together. Next, we dove into a hands-on exercise where we created a container instance through the Azure portal. We then deployed a container and examined the logs to confirm the success of the deployment. The final topic Ricardo covered was Azure Container Apps, praising their serverless framework powered by Kubernetes. He noted the advantage of not having to manage configurations while still leveraging Kubernetes capabilities.
There are new stuff on this presentation. What I have added on this presentation is real architecture framework plus the network isolation for API management. A little bit about myself. My name is Hassan Escalali. I'm an independent consultant. I've been working on Microsoft technology for more than 20 years.
Essen introduced the Cloud Adoption Framework for Azure and its key pillars, then moved on to explain the Microsoft Azure Well-Architected Framework and its guiding pillars. Essen then discussed the Azure Landing Zone, explaining the recommended infrastructure set up by Microsoft for deploying cloud environments effectively. It was time to delve into the first Azure OpenAI pattern. Essen explained the components of the pattern and described the scenarios where it is best applied. Next, we explored the second pattern, which is more advanced Azure OpenAI pattern featuring network isolation and the use of Azure API Management (APM). Lastly, the third Azure OpenAI pattern, a combination of the first two, was introduced. This hybrid approach provided insightful and innovative strategies for designing a more secure and efficient Azure infrastructure. The final session I attended focused on enhancing security for devices connected to Azure Entra ID and securing cloud environments using Microsoft Defender for Cloud. The presentation covered methods to analyze attacks and set up alerts, providing proactive measures to anticipate potential threats before they materialize. Last but not least, after an insightful session, I took the opportunity to capture a video with the iconic Microsoft logo. And of course, we took a memorable photo with the attendees who stayed until the very end.